Hi everyone, welcome to the Baby Sleep Magic podcast. My name is Chantal Murphy and today's episode is a recording from a recent YouTube video I filmed about the comforter and the benefits of the comforter, when and how to introduce the comforter. If you do find this information valuable, please feel free to share it with another mum or a friend. Enjoy the podcast. Hi, I'm going to give you some tips today on the comforter or the blankie. I'm a firm believer in the power of the blankie, simply because babies require some type of prop or some type of comfort to put themselves to sleep. And just like we do, we rely on our pillow, and babies are pretty much the same. They rely on something to help them go to sleep. And in some cases it can be mum, it can be dad, it can be the breast, it can be the bottle, but in other cases it could be the comforter. So I'll give you some tips moving forward on how to introduce it, when to introduce it, but I'll just show you my boys' comforters, what they've got and what they've had since they were babies. This is Noah's, he's 7.5 years old, and as you can see they're pretty well used. And this is Cruz's. It's not much of anything, and it certainly didn't look like this 6.5 years ago, but he really loves it and he's attached to it. So look, the best age to introduce it is probably anywhere between 4 and 5 months old. Once Bub's a little bit more active, they're out of their swaddle. You can introduce it earlier, but probably not to sleep with. So anything from 4 to 5 months of age is a good age, and it takes time. So that's probably my biggest tip. It's really, it takes time. You've got to be really consistent and you've got to be patient. It can take as early as 2 weeks for an attachment to happen, or as long as months. It can take anywhere from 2 to 6 months for a bond to take place. So, and the way to create that bond is have the comforter with them 24/7. They really don't get the opportunity to switch off and not see this. So when you're in the car, have it in the car. When you're in the pram, have it in the pram. When you're at home and they're tummy time, or they're just having a bit of a play, just have it around. When you're changing their nappy, have it on their tummy. When you're feeding, especially when you're feeding, have it draped over you. Chances are when you're feeding, Bub's probably picking or twitching or pulling or twirling. Put their hand on the comforter and they'll start to use that comforter as their association, and it would really start to help with that bond. Also, if you've got a dummy, you can attach it to the comforter as well, especially for toddlers, that might help. But as they get a little bit older, they can start to find their dummy a lot easier looking for the comforter. My other big tips as well is buy two. Now, as you can see with Noah's, it's been really well used. So it used to look like this, but I've had to patch it up. So buy two. If you have to go to daycare, or you drop off at Nan and Pop's, or you go into the shops, or you ever, God forbid, lost one, you've always got that backup at home. Also make sure they're soft, really soft. Babies will like to play with it and flick it and play with it and fool it around. And if it's got a heavy something in it that's heavy, or if it's got a teething ring on it, it can become quite dangerous. It's like a weapon. So just be mindful of what you buy. It doesn't have any attachments to it, and it's really soft and small-ish. So this is probably a good size. If you do have a wrap or a blanket or something that you had when Bub was a newborn that they actually quite like and they're attached to, you could use that. You could either tie it in a knot, or you could cut it up into pieces so it's similar to that size. That will probably, that's a really good size. And when you decide that when you know that they really love it, want it, need it, and it's time, what you do at that point then is leave it in the cot or their bed. It doesn't come out, so you don't have this toddler walking around the shops dragging it around. It's for bedtime and sleep only. And lastly, call it a name. My boys call theirs Snuggie, but you can call it anything you want. Especially with toddlers, you might want them to call it a name or get them to pick it. I do work with toddlers, and it's never too late to introduce one. And just giving them that little bit of responsibility and independence goes a long way with the bonding process. So I hope those tips help. Thanks again for listening. For any additional tips, head over to my Instagram page at Baby Sleep Magic and just refer to the highlights, guys. There's lots of information on there for, dark room, white noise, comforter, napping on the go, newborn tips. There's plenty of stuff on there, videos that you can refer to. Thanks again, and see you next episode.